multiplying and dividing decimal numbers. First, we will estimate products and quotients. Doing this will allow us to identify whether or not the answers we get to multiplying or dividing by decimal numbers to get the products or quotients and identify whether those are near our estimations, thus letting us know if we have the correct answers or even reasonable answers. Let's begin by multiplying decimal number by whole numbers. When I do this, what I do is I will round to the nearest whole number, but if it's a 2-digit or 3-digit number, I'll round to the nearest tens or hundreds. So 18.3 rounds to about 20. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply by 22 because I know 22 times 2 is doubled, that's just 44, and then we have the 1 0 in the problem. So if we were to multiply 18.3 by 22, we would end up with an answer or product close to 440. 20.2 will round to 20, and 45 can just be 45, or if you need to round it to 50, that would be fine as well. 45 doubled by that 2 is 90, and we have the 1 0 in the problem. So our product is 900. And if we multiplied 20.2 by 45, we would get approximately 900. When I do estimating of dividing decimal numbers, I will usually round these numbers to tens and hundreds, and making sure that when I look at them that they are able to be rounded efficiently, or actually exactly. So 68.7, I'm going to go ahead and round that to the nearest tens, which is 70. And 13 will be rounded to 10. So 70 divided by 10 is about 7. And if I were to divide 68.7 by 13, my quotient would be near 7. 98.4, since 98 is so close to 100, I'm going to go ahead and round it to 100. And I know 45 rounds to 50, so that would be easy. Now remember, you can go ahead and use the cross out zero strategy for dividing zeros. So I took off 1 0 from the divisor, and that meant I had to take 1 0 off of the dividend. So what's over is 10 divided by 5, which is approximately 2. Okay. Now we're going to multiply decimals using decimal models. This is an interesting way of figuring out how to multiply decimal numbers. So here I'm going to use 0.6 times 2. What I will do is I will take 0.6, which is 6/10, and I'm going to say about, I know that this much here, if I did 6 rows here, that would be 6/10. So I would need to completely shade, this is going to be 0.6, and then I will need 2 whole rows of that going this way. That'll be 2 whole rows. So if I go ahead and shade in the 6/10 here, this will show 6/10, and then I have 6/10. I have to do 2 of those, so I'll have 6/10 of this shaded here, 6/10, and then this will be shaded. So if I counted that all together, I have 6/10, which is 60 little squares out of 100, so that's 60 hundredths that's shaded in, and there are 60 hundredths over here shaded in, and if I added those together, I would end up with 1 and 20 hundredths, or 1.2, because we can knock off that 0 at the end. It doesn't count for anything. And so 0.6 times 2 is 1.2, as indicated by the shading of the decimal model. Now let's try another one. 0.6 times 0.2. And I'm going to switch to a highlighter, so that might be a little better. I know that 6/10 would be is going to be this amount, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will be 6/10 here. And then I'm going to need to multiply that by 2/10. So 2/10 would be going this way. That would be 2/10. 1, 2 going across 2/10. And that would mean I need to color all the way up to here. 6/10 by 2/10. It's only going to be that amount right there. And if I counted every square, I would end up with 12 squares shaded in. And that's 12 out of 100, which is 12 hundredths. So 0.6 times 0.2 is 0 and 12 hundredths. Okay. Now my next one down here is 0.4 times 1.7. So 4/10 is 4 complete rows. This will be 4/10. And then I'm going to need 1 7/10. So that's 1 whole. That will be all of this. 1 whole. And 7/10. So I'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/10. So then this will be 1 7/10, 1.7. Now if I shaded that in, I'm only going to shade in 4/10 by 1 7/10, which will end right here. Whoops, I went a little above. I'll have to fix that. Okay, let me erase the part that went above that I don't need because I only wanted to go as high as 4/10. Okay, so now we have, did I forget this? So I need a little bit more here, 7/10. There we go. Okay, so now what I now see is that 4/10. So I have this in this whole one. 4/10 are completely shaded. So that's 40 little squares out of 100, which is 40 hundredths. And then here I have 4 by 7, which is 28 squares. This amount of space. Whoops, this amount of space here, if I were to multiply, is 4 times 7. So 28 squares altogether are shaded out of this 100 block. So that's 28 hundredths. So that's 0 and 28 hundredths. And when I add them together, I have 0 and 68 hundredths. So 0.4 times 1.7 is 0.68. And this is how we use models, decimal models, to multiply decimal numbers.